Hey everybody, I am here to do Meghan Alidoodles wedding tag. 30 questions, and I'm going to try and answer them as quickly as I can, but some will need some explanation. How long after the big question was your wedding day? A year and 5 months? Did you already have a dream vision of your wedding? No. I always knew I wanted to be a mom, and I would have like dreams or whatever, think about what I was going to be like as a mom, but I didn't have any kind of idea what I wanted for my wedding before it was necessary. Did you have help planning your wedding? No, I planned it, I DIY'd it, I did it for a local destination. Local, I sort of wish we could have had a destination, and I say could have because 2 weeks before my sister's wedding, she decided to change everything and up and go to Hawaii to have a destination wedding. And Jeremy's brother basically purposely got married on a cruise in a destination wedding because they didn't want any say in who got married to who, and knew that there were a few people that didn't approve. We were the next siblings in both families to get married, and neither one of us felt like we could have a destination wedding because of that. Small or large invite list? It was large for us, but not nearly as large as most people, I think. We had 170 on the invite list, and I think like 90 or 100 showed up. It was too large for my liking, but like I said, I would have had a destination wedding if I could. Small or large wedding party? Large for me. Too large for me. It was 4 on each side, and the only reason I had anybody else really besides being my friends is that my husband has 3 brothers and a best friend, so he had 4 people, and I'm kind of OCD about that. I knew in pictures in future years it would bug me if there was 4 groomsmen and no bridesmaids or 1 bridesmaid, so I enlisted 4 people. Wedding colors, black, white, and red. I figured it was fairly timeless, and it was a 1940s theme, so it went fairly well. Indoors or outdoors? It was outdoors. Religious or non-denominational? Non-denominational. Did you write your own vows? Yes and no. We looked up a bunch of different ceremonies and vows, and we kind of picked and pulled from different people's other ideas and tweaked those a little bit to our liking and made our own ceremony and vows, which my brother delivered. 11, saw each other before the ceremony. Yes, we took pictures. We did a lot of stuff before the ceremony. 12, photographer, videographer. Photographer, yes. Videographer, no. And I actually wish we had a different photographer, but that's done. Transportation to and from wedding. Reception dinner was the night before the wedding, and it was a disaster. My brother decided that that was a good time to fix things between me and my sister, which was not going to happen in one sitting, and I ended up in tears in the bathroom of a Dave & Buster's, and it was a mess, and we ended up texting until like 2 in the morning on the day of my wedding as to whether he should be the one to marry us or not. I, at some point, finally said, you know what, show up tomorrow, don't show up tomorrow, we'll figure it out. And Jeremy and I drove together from our apartment to the wedding venue and signed papers to buy our house with a notary who drove out, and then I went to go get ready. We didn't even know if my brother was going to marry us at that point, so I contacted another friend who was officiate just in case. From the wedding, we had a friend's grandpa who has a 1940s car. I can't remember what make and model it was, but he had a car from the 1940s, and he loaned it to us. My uncle drove it and us from the wedding, so that was pretty cool. Something old, something new, something borrowed, and something blue. Something old, I had a locket that was from my grandfather on my bouquet. Something new was my shoes. Something borrowed, I rented a necklace and earrings from a site called adorn.com. and I loved it. It's high-end jewelry, something blue. I had like a little handkerchief tucked in somewhere. I don't even know where I had it. Wedding dress style. It was an A-line with a sweetheart neckline and cap sleeve. I loved it. It was a Disney dress. And I actually got it off of eBay. I saved a ton of money. I spent $150 on my wedding dress and about $60 on alterations because I didn't really need alterations. She just added a little bit of like pearls and stuff. Describe my bouquet. I made my bouquet. I made ribbon roses in red and white, and I wrapped the bottom in green, and then I put the little locket on. Sent each other notes or gifts before the ceremony. No, we didn't really have time for it. And we saw each other, so didn't really make too much sense. Walked down the aisle to which song? I walked down the aisle in epic proportions. This was the one thing that was truly nowhere near 1940s. I walked down the aisle to Queen's Wedding March. Awesome. Did the ceremony go as planned? No. No, 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 no. So, the music wasn't working for some reason, which they finally got it to work, so it started way late. I get up there, and it's like my brother, who I had been fighting with all night long, up there, and it's just like, oh my god, just get through it. Don't mess this up. Just get through it, please. Reception, indoors or outdoors? It was outdoors. Receiving line or came to tables? Realistically, neither. We went to some tables, but then people got up and were dancing, so I just tried to see people whenever I could. DJ or band? We had a computer and a techie, so we didn't have either realistically. First song, Dream a Little Dream of Me, but the Michael Bublé remake. Describe your cake dessert. Our cake was 4 layers. It had chocolate frosting. The top layer was specifically for Jeremy. He wanted banana cake, and I thought it was gross. So we got the littlest layer for him. There was all 4 layers were different. It was banana on the top, and then there was like a plain vanilla one on the second layer. The third layer was a vanilla with strawberry, and then the bottom one was chocolate with raspberry. And like I said, it had chocolate frosting, and it had a line of fruit strung going down. Our cake baker actually made a few gluten-free cakes for a couple people that were gluten-free, and it was fantastic. I had a piece of each except for the banana cake, and I have no shame for that. Cake in the face, sort of, not messy. We were planning on doing it messy, and then it didn't happen. But there was chocolate frosting on my dress anyway. Did the reception go as planned? No, not at all. So where we were, the bridal party came down one area, and then the rest of the people went up and around into the reception area. And we were waiting for people to get over there so that they could announce us and we could go in. And it was so hot. Usually October can be fairly warm around here, but not generally super hot. And it ended up being the hottest day of the year. It was sweltering. It was awful. So we're waiting in line, and we're waiting, and we're waiting, and we're waiting, and after like 5 minutes, I was like, can we just call somebody and check? And everybody's like, no, they're just getting ready, having people sit down, getting the computer ready, all this other stuff. I was like, okay, fine. Another, like, almost 10 minutes goes by, and I was like, listen, I'm going to pass the F out if I don't sit and have some water and move. Like, I need air, I need to sit, I haven't eaten anything. And I haven't had anything to drink in like 3 hours. So can we call somebody and figure out what the F is going on? So they called my cousin, who was working the computer for us until Jeremy was ready. And he was like, oh, yeah, we've been ready for the last like almost 15 minutes. We're waiting on you guys. I was so upset. So we go in and went to do our dances. We did a dance with us. I did a dance with my dad. And Jeremy did a dance with his mom. But everybody thought they had to stand for some reason. So everybody's just standing there in the heat watching us. And it was so awkward. So finally, like, I did my dance with Jeremy, and then I did my dance with my dad. And between my dance with my dad and Jeremy's dance with his mom, I was like, you guys can all sit. Like, please sit. Don't stand up and watch. That's so weird. And then, the cake. We went to cut the cake, and the people that were at our venue had said they knew how to cut wedding cakes. Apparently, they did not. So our cake baker actually would have stayed to cut the cake for us had we known, but they said they did it all the time, no problem. So we took our little bites of cake and then we left it to them. And I look over, I got my pieces of cake and I sit down and then I look over and my cake is like falling and it was so bad. They were scooping the cake onto people's plates. Like it was just awful. And then, so we were doing that, and there was coloring books for the kids, which nobody let their kids do it for the first little bit. And then I was like, hey, so I started taking coloring books around to the kids, and they were like, oh, we didn't know if we were supposed to use it. I was like, it had a sign, please take one for your kid. And then we went to do the bouquet and garter, and the one gust of wind that day came when he went to go under my dress, and my dress just kind of went whoosh. I was like, oh my God, okay, all right. So my dress kind of ballooned out, and a couple people got pictures of that. And I actually had a fun thing for my bouquet toss, which is the one thing that went totally as planned in the reception. I went to go throw it, and instead of having one bouquet, I had untied everything. So all of the flowers that I had made came apart, and it was like a shower of flowers. It was hilarious. Everybody loved/hated it. And then there was a misunderstanding with something with timing, and a bunch of people were like leaving for some reason, and we had no idea until later that one of the stupid people who had tried to cut our wedding cake was coming and asking people to leave, and it was just it was a disaster. Left before the guests departed or stayed until last dance? I stayed as long as we could. Honeymooned, yes/no. We were set to go straight from the reception to one of the airports to go to our honeymoon in St. Lucia on a sandals resort, and we got there and found out that the flight had been changed, but we hadn't been notified. And when I had called to check and was told everything was fine, everything wasn't fine. They didn't even make sure that we knew at that point when I was calling to check everything that my flight time that I was telling them was wrong. So by the time they could have gotten us there, it was a Sunday wedding. We were supposed to get there Monday morning. By the time we could have gotten there, it would have been Thursday night, like late night, and we would have been heading back on Saturday. So we ended up going to Disneyland, and we did our honeymoon for our 1-year anniversary. My biggest expense for the day really was the venue, which was worth it. Best moment of the day. Worst moment of the day was not knowing whether my brother was going to marry us or not. Not knowing until basically the very last second. And my hair person, the person that was supposed to do my hair, did not show up. So the person that did my makeup did my hair, which she actually ended up being really good, but yeah, he just didn't show. Best moment of the day, being married, getting married. The moment after and walking down the steps without anybody else, just being married. Oh, and taking pictures through the theme park, which was super fun. If I could do it all again, I would not have so many people. I would not have so many people invited. I would not have so many people in the wedding party. I would not be so worried about the etiquette on things and how everything looked to people. I would have done it totally me and Jeremy, and maybe even done a destination wedding. It was just too much drama and too much craziness for me. And by the end of the day, as happy as I was to be married and as much fun as I had, everything was just a huge one disaster after another, and it was exhausting. That's my wedding tag, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.